Before we begin with this video, if you haven't watched this one, go and watch it. So I was checking the comments and I found an old comment on that video where someone brought up chariots from China, and he said chariot technology spread from the Sintashta culture to both the Near East and China because Sintashta culture is right in the middle of them. And I did reply to this comment saying that I will make a video on the Chinese chariots, and here it is. Before we discuss the main topic, we shall first discuss the Near Eastern chariots. So, do we have any trace of chariot technology being depicted in West Asia? Yes, we certainly do. Here's a seal from Tepe Hisar from eastern Iran. This clearly looks like a chariot. It is dated to about 2500 BCE, so it is about 500 years before the Sintashta culture even formed. That is if we go by the widely accepted date of 2000 BCE for Sintashta. It cannot have reached there through trade. We have a visible progression in West Asian wheel technology, which isn't present in the Sintashta culture. Here is another depiction of a chariot from the late 3rd millennium BCE, and there is absolutely no doubt that these were indeed horse-pulled chariots. Even the archaeologist who excavated Sintashta sites, Grigoriev, he agrees that these are chariots pulled by horses. He tends to believe that the chariot technology was imported by the Sintashta people from the Near East. Grigoriev discusses in this document on how chariot-related technology was developed independently by agricultural societies of West Asia. I have put the link for this document in the description. So we can clearly see no steppe migration was necessary to bring chariots in West Asia. So now that we are done with discussing the Near Eastern chariots, let us now shift our focus to China.
China. China. China. China. China. China. China. China. China. China.
Imagine standing in the royal cemetery of Anyang, the capital of the Shang dynasty, more than 3000 years ago. Before you lies a burial pit, 2 horses, and between them the remains of a wooden chariot. This is Chariot M52. One of the earliest and the best preserved vehicles of ancient China. At first glance, it looks like a war machine. After all, the chariot had become a powerful symbol across the Bronze Age world, associated with speed, command, and battle. Yet, when we study M52 closely, it tells a different story. Its floor is hard and uncomfortable for standing. Its box is shallow, with side rails rising only to knee height, offering little support in motion. In M52, there are no weapons buried alongside it, no signs that this was ever intended for combat. Instead, the well-maintained panels and bronze decorations suggest something else. It could be a parade vehicle, or a display of elite status, perhaps used in ritual ceremonies, or maybe never used at all. This raises a fascinating question. Archaeologist Alexander Semnenko has noted that if chariots truly spread into China from the steppe, the Shang examples are surprisingly impractical. By the time they appear in China around 1300 to 1200 BCE, nearly 800 years had passed since the earliest 2-horse, 2-wheeled vehicles of the Sintashta and Petrovka cultures. Yet the Shang chariots seem clumsy, unsuited for speed or standing combat. Why, after so many centuries, had the technology not advanced further? The evidence supports this paradox. No high-sided chariot boxes have been found at Anyang. Even later finds show that 50 centimeters was the maximum height of the railings, barely reaching the rider's knees. In contrast, Near Eastern chariots rose to the hip, which made standing travel at high speed far safer. Scholars now suggest that the Shang chariots may have been ridden kneeling, or used as a slow ceremonial transport for commanders rather than true weapons of war. Oracle bone inscriptions from the reign of King Wuding give us a rare first-hand glimpse into how these vehicles actually performed. One record states that the king's chariot needed an entire day to cover just 30 kilometers. That is astonishingly slow. A marathon runner, for instance, could cover 42 kilometers in only a few hours. Clearly, these chariots were not built for speed. Their low rails, rigid floors, and fragile harness systems made fast or long journeys impractical. Wuding's chariot was not a weapon of war, but a symbol of command. But the story doesn't end with the Shang. True standing chariots, the kind we associate with fast driving and battlefield maneuvering, only appear in China much later, during the Western Zhou dynasty, between 1046 and 771 BCE. This means that the steppe peoples, whose technology supposedly inspired Chinese chariots, could not have had standing chariots themselves, at least not before this period, if we consider the Shang chariots to be borrowed from Sintashta or Andronovo. By the late Shang, however, we begin to see the first steps towards this innovation of standing chariots. Excavations at Anyang, where we find the M348, M11 and M40 chariots, they show evidence for a handrail that rose higher than the side rails and ran across the chariot box. In the M40 chariot, this rail was about 5 centimeters thick, supported by a buttress at the front, and stood some 25 to 35 centimeters above the box. For the first time, a driver could grip something solid while standing, stabilizing themselves as the horses moved forward. It was a small but crucial development, paving the way for the fully functional standing chariots of the Zhou period. Literature from the period also adds to the picture. The Shijing, the oldest existing collection of Chinese poetry, preserves a poem about the campaign ordered by King Xuan of Zhou against the nomadic Xianyun tribes. According to the text, the Zhou chariots covered only 30 li per day. Li is a measurement of distance. It is about half a kilometer. 30 li per day would be about 15 kilometers, and that is strikingly slow. A soldier on foot walking at a steady pace of 5 kilometers an hour could cover the same distance in just 3 hours. Commentators on the poem all agree on one detail, the reference to a month. It emphasizes the urgency of the campaign, a desperate race against time. Yet, even after such pressure, the Zhou chariots could not move quickly. This tells us that, though the chariot technology was evolving, the Chinese chariots were still cumbersome, still far from the agile war machines of the Near East. So in the end, the Chinese chariot wasn't really about speed or battlefield dominance. It was used to display power owned by powerful men in society. It was a status symbol. Well, that was it for this video. Share this video with your friends or anyone interested in chariots, and if you want to watch more videos like this, subscribe to the channel, and we shall meet in the next video.